Hi, this is Linda Richardson, and in this video, we're going to be talking about TikTok. Is it a national security threat? I like to address things that are very current in the news, and TikTok has certainly taken over the headlines in television news, newspapers, and so on. So let's talk about it. Is it really a problem? Well, what is the issue anyway? I have put a video in our module that talks about breaking down TikTok's security concerns. It comes from the CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and it was broadcasted just recently. So take a look at that. Let's pause now, and you can go take a look at the video and come back. Now, as far as some background information, as of March of last year, TikTok had 150 million users in the United States. The Trump administration attempted to ban TikTok, but it was not passed by Congress. As of March of 2023, there was no evidence that the Chinese government had actually spied on people using this app. But TikTok does not operate in China, even though it's owned by ByteDance, which is headquartered in Beijing, China. So it's interesting that it only operates other places. It doesn't operate in China because it is owned by ByteDance. But the question I would ask you is, can ByteDance be forced to cooperate with sharing data with the government? In China, that can happen, and that was one of the concerns brought up by our government. But then again, I ask myself, what is the difference between data collected by TikTok and data collected by Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat? Should we be discontinuing all of these social media sites because data is collected and may not be necessarily shared appropriately? Let's look at the timeline of social media. We would think, gosh, it hasn't been in existence for long, but the truth is, it's actually been in existence for over 30 years. In 1996, the first social networking and video site was called Bolt. It lasted for 11 years. In 97, a site called 6 Degrees was created where users could upload profile information and connect with users by making friends. In 97, AOL launched Instant Messenger. They acquired it from an Israeli-based company, and it was originally called ICQ, launched the year before. In 1999 was the launch of LiveJournal, which was the first popular blogging platform. And in the year 2000, Habbo, a game-based networking site, was released. In 2002, Friendster was launched, where users made profiles, connected, shared information. And in 2003, LinkedIn was launched with its first business-oriented social networking site. Finally, in 2004, Facebook was launched. So the question I might ask is social media the problem? And the reason I ask that is because social media has been around for a long time, as we saw in the timeline. So how has it suddenly become a problem, or has the use of social media evolved over time, thereby creating a problem? Is it our dependence on social media that's the problem? And what I mean by that is that we spend a lot of time, the average American actually spends a lot of time on social media. They depend on it for news, ideas. They depend on it for information about friends and family. So is our dependence the problem, or is it our distrust of China that's the problem? And why just China? Are there other countries that may also be offering social media space or being able to get into the data on social media spaces? So let's define the issues with China. The UK banned TikTok on government devices, and then they banned TikTok from government mobile devices. And I have a video for you in our module put on by the BBC, which talks about the UK banning TikTok and why they did it. There was a concern that if China has a view into TikTok's algorithm or business operations, it could try to exert pressure on the company to shape what users see on the platform, either by removing content through censorship or by pushing preferred content and propaganda to users. This could have enormous repercussions for U.S. elections and other countries too, I might add, policy making and other democratic discourse. TikTok's response? They said that they have been erecting technical and organizational barriers that will keep U.S. data safe from unauthorized access. Project Texas will have the U.S. government and third-party companies such as Oracle have some degree over the oversight of TikTok's data practices. This is something that ByteDance set up in our country to protect the data, but the question is it enough? I don't know. I think time will tell. And would you trust this, the oversight that Project Texas has? I don't know what Project Texas is. I don't know who's involved with Project Texas. How do we know that these folks are, well, credible folks that can protect us? And I really don't know enough about it, to be honest. Right now, the U.S. government is closer to a nationwide ban of TikTok. Will it pass with this administration? I don't know. But we also have a video for you here put on by ABC News about this. What's interesting is that about 170 million Americans and 7 million small businesses in the U.S. use TikTok to earn a living. And these are the folks that are very upset about any legislation that might limit the use of TikTok because they would be out of business. They would lose their business. So who has banned TikTok? Well, it's a good question. India banned it in the 2002s. Britain, its parliament, Australia, Canada, the executive arm of the European Union, France, and New Zealand's parliament have banned the app from official devices. More than 24 states in the United States have banned the app from government-issued devices. Many colleges have blocked it from their campus Wi-Fi networks. The state of Montana has banned the app from operating from within the state, and New York City has banned the app from city-owned devices. However, they cannot ban it from someone's personal device. So here's an overview of social media use, just to give you an idea of how many people actually participate in social media and to a certain extent depend on it. The number of social media user identities, 5.04 billion. Quarter-on-quarter change in social media users, up 1.5%, which is 75 million people. Year-on-year change, up 5.6%. Average daily time spent using social media, 2 hours and 23 minutes. Average number of social platforms used each month, almost 7. Social media user identities versus the total population is over 62%. Social media user identities aged 18 plus versus the population aged 18 plus, 84.2%. Social media user identities versus individuals using the internet, 94%. Women account for 46.5% and men for 53.5%. So questions to consider. Let's look at some national security concerns. What are the concerns anyway? And how does TikTok handle user data? What evidence exists to support the claims of data privacy and security breaches? With regards to foreign influence, to what extent does Chinese ownership of TikTok influence its content moderation and dissemination? And how might TikTok be used as a tool for foreign influence or propaganda? About the impact on users, how would a ban on TikTok affect the millions of users in the U.S.? And what alternatives exist for users who would be impacted by a TikTok ban. Economic implications. Well, what economic consequences would arise from banning TikTok, both domestically and internationally? And how would a ban on TikTok impact the social media landscape? In terms of freedom of speech, does banning TikTok violate principles of freedom of speech and expression? And how can concerns about national security be balanced with protecting our individual liberties? As far as technological solutions, can technological solutions be implemented to address national security concerns without banning TikTok outright? And how effective would such solutions be in mitigating risks associated with TikTok use? So I want to end this presentation with, what is your current concern about the use of TikTok in the US? And if you don't have a concern, why not? And the resources that I used to put this presentation together. Thank you so much.